Don't just put a twist in your movie for the sake of a twist. That's like adding in chocolate to a bacon sandwich. Well, no, that's not true. In fact, that didn't make any sense. But the point is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you shouldn't. Let's face it. If you're just working some shocking storytelling because it's cool, it's probably not going to work out. But certain films love doing that, you'd imagine, simply because it gets them out of a bind or stops the plot from being utter rubbish. That's stupid thinking there. Really stupid. I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is the 10 most ridiculously unearned movie twists of all time. Number 10, De Niro is the devil in Angel Heart. Director Ian Parker's neo-noir adventure is one of those rare things, a near classic, which means it's almost good. I'm not sure that's a positive. The story of Harry Angel, a detective on the hunt for a missing voodoo practitioner, as you do, it does have plenty of intrigue and some proper wild moments to boot. There's a sex scene in it that's just, well, let's just say it doesn't hold much back. What screwed it big time, however, was the finale. While it was kinda cool that it turned out Harry Angel was actually the killer, the film's final payoff is so dumb thanks to Robert De Niro. From the moment you learn his name is Louis Cypher, you start to raise an eyebrow. But then when he reveals he's the devil, and his name is a play on Lucifer, that's just crap. And he has glowing eyes. What a joke. Number 9, Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness. For most of Into Darkness, Benedict Cumberbatch just plays some ass-kicking baddie who's alright. That's it, and it would have been enough. No bells, no whistles, just a great new addition to the Star Trek franchise. But this wasn't his role at all. Before all is said and done, everyone involved with the movie thought, he should be Khan! Mostly because a lot of people love The Wrath of Khan. I don't know about you, but that even sounds weak, let alone actually doing it. The real issue is that as soon as this reveal goes down, the film loses what momentum it had. The mystery surrounding whoever this was served as intrigue enough without putting a label on it. Hopefully we can do this with Commander Riker soon too. Just have a guy with a beard and at the end of the film, bam! He's revealed. Number 8, the killer switch in Righteous Kill. Righteous Kill is terrible, and 50 Cent is in it, as well as Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Right. Also, believe you me, that pair couldn't give two hoots about this, fumble their way through the whole movie. Unsurprisingly, it does have a dumb twist in it too, probably to try and salvage something from this mess. It starts with a name change, Red Henning, which is meant to trick us into thinking De Niro is the killer before revealing that it's actually Pacino. While you're trying to check that the pieces all fit together and make sense though, the credits are already rolling because Righteous Kill is well aware that it made no sense, it just wants to get out of Dodge. It foreshadows the whole thing from start to finish too, so when you actually get the payoff, well, it's rubbish. Number 7, The Bat Lives in The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I like The Dark Knight Rises, even though no one else does. I think Bane is a good villain, and that voice was inspired. Anyway, seemingly feeling the need to end on a bang and send the trilogy off with a nice big full stop, our final scene is Bruce Wayne looking all content and chipper in a Florence pub garden, raising a glass to Alfred and showing us, the audience, that he's very much alive and well. Now that's a neat and tidy close, but it would have been a much better ending had Batman just been blown up in his Batwing as he makes the ultimate sacrifice for Gotham. That would have ended things on a real somber note. Instead, all loose ends are tied up in a nice little package, and we're all left feeling much more hopeful than we should be. Sometimes you just gotta hit the sad button. Number 6, Alien Intervention in AI. AI is actually pretty decent, all things considered. It's lovely to watch and everyone plays their part, so it's very solid from top to bottom. Almost anyway. When David, our hero of the piece, plummets into the icy water, repeatedly wishing to become a real boy, that's where the film should have ended. Plus, that would have made it super dark and super ambiguous, so as non-Hollywood as possible. This is Hollywood, however, so what do we get? A crew of aliens pulls David from his icy tomb, and one lock of hair later, make all his dreams come true. Hey, mate. Number 5, Redford the Red in The Winter Soldier. The second Captain America film is not bad by any means. In fact, it's really rather good and scoots around like an out-of-control roller coaster. It also has Robert Redford in it, which is as pleasant as can be. He's just a very good actor, and someone we don't see that much anymore. So where's the problem? Well, it's the way Redford's Alexander Pierce is handled. Like a super kick out of nowhere, he turns out to be a Hydra double agent. Not only did this really feel out of place, but seeing Redford go from trusty ally to sneering villain just didn't sit well at all. He was better in the former role. After being hastily dispatched by Nick Fury, the film then falls apart, mostly because no one wanted to see this happen. It wasn't needed. Number 4, the Big Brother ending in The Village. M. Night Shyamalan loves twists, and he was successful with that in The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. But he should have stopped there instead of banging on that drum like no other drum has ever existed. As well as being rubbish, The Village, a film that at first did have some promise, is crucially undone by a dopey twist, and it's so bad that Shalama Lama 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 still hasn't really recovered. For some reason, the whole setting of this village is unveiled as being in the present day, and the village itself is some kind of scientific study. Up to this point, it just seemed like some screwed up place. Why it became all this, no one is quite sure. The real issue is, no matter how smart all involved may have thought this was beforehand, the film immediately loses its purpose once all this was revealed. Because it's dumb. Number 3, Jake Gets Played. Again, in The Two Jakes. Everyone was pretty excited about The Two Jakes when it was released in the 90s, as it was a follow-up to 70s classic Chinatown. With Jack Nicholson back as Jake and also on directing duties, the scene was set for a film that could have become a cult hit and cement itself as one of those you had to go out of your way to see. For the most part, it does succeed in doing this, with Nicholson on form and the script hitting all the right beats. But then they go and spoil it all by trying to beat the original's jaw-dropping twist by pulling up a character from the past in a tiresome doppelganger surprise. And that puts the wheels in motion for an overly bright and optimistic ending. That's not what we wanted, or needed, or hoped for, and it completely takes the wings out of The Two Jakes' sails. Also, that's a terrible name for a movie. Number 2, Earth Gets Invaded in Planet of the Apes. No one will ever agree on this one, but the now infamous ending to the Planet of the Apes isn't exactly the greatest thing that's ever happened to mankind. If we're honest with ourselves, Charlton Heston's George Taylor was an astronaut with a decent knowledge of Earth and the universe, so he perhaps should have been aware that the planet he was quite literally monkeying around on was in fact a version of Earth. What's even more unforgivable lies at the door of Tim Burton, who created one of the worst remakes of all time, complete with a dire twist to top it off. The film looked good, that was about all it had going for it. This time, instead of the old Earth switcheroo, Burton had Mark Wahlberg tumbling back to Earth only to find those dirty damn apes had taken over the planet. Why did we do this? It sucked. There was no need for it whatsoever. Number 1, Space Between Spaces in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. While the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not as bad as some people made out, it's still not exactly great and doesn't live up to the Indiana Jones hype train that was out of control before it was released. The problem came during the finale, however, where a jungle scramble paved the way for a showdown at an Amazonian temple, which should have been pretty good. But it wasn't, because the battle is broken up by visitors from some nonsense place called the Space Between Spaces or something. By the time all this was over, we'd all forgotten we were watching one of our favourite franchises, and instead had some alien fluff that didn't fit the tone at all. If they were going to go this way, Indy should have just spent the last 10 minutes of the movie punching aliens in the face. But they didn't do that at all. Know of any other undeserved twists in films? Let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Then head on over to whatculture.com to read more articles, and follow What Culture on Twitter @WhatCulture. I am Simon from What Culture, and I will speak to you again soon.